Hey guys, welcome back to some more BSL action. This is the round of 8 still. We're in a best of 5. And we have down here in the bottom left one of our top finishers from last season. Good friend of mine, Gypsy. And his opponent, another Chinese player, a Protoss player known as ZhanHun. Or ZhanHun. Not exactly sure on that one. But I don't really know much about this guy. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to the table here against Gypsy. I think that Gypsy pretty clearly is the best non-Korean Terran at the moment. Well, I guess actually you would probably consider Mihu, but you know, he's right up there, very top tier. So yeah, I definitely am favoring Gypsy. I think I would favor him against most players right now. But we'll see what ZhanHun actually has to bring to the table. The first map here is going to be Good Night. This is a very big map. Lots of bases, very spread out, very far away. And I think that this is definitely a map that as Terran, you have to be really on top of your macro to play well. And, you know, if you macro really, like, kind of beast mode macro, you can definitely stand toe-to-toe with Protoss. But I think it is just, a little bit tricky because of that. You'll definitely get run over if you slip up on your macro at all here, since there's such wide open avenues of attack for Protoss. Now, before we get too far into the game, I would like to ask you to go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification button. I hope that you're enjoying the BSL games. I really like following the BSL from round of 8 up. Before that, it's whatever. But big thank you to Zero for giving these replays and let me do some casts here, and we get to see some awesome games from some of the top non-Korean players who, you know, there definitely should be some respect, because it's not like there's really money in the foreign Brood War scene, really never has been. So everyone kind of plays out of love of the game and passion, which is definitely very respectable. All right, so the SCV going up to Scout right now. Gonna find him first. ZhanHun up here in the top left. Look at that, Cybernetic score way to the top left of his screen. I've never quite seen this building placement, but all right. His probe has scouted in the wrong direction. Zealot is about to pop, and of course Gypsy will see that immediately and know just what's going on. Gonna be feeling very comfortable, I would say, in this position. Looks like Gypsy is going for a factory expansion. First Marine going to be popping out. And, of course, with that factory coming up, he can probably do a Vulture expansion. I'd be pretty surprised, actually, if he does anything other than that. ZhanHun actually going for Dragoon range as well as a Dragoon. So let's see if he goes third pylon or not. If he does, we'll see that pylon very, very quickly here. But, yeah, I guess that's kind of the big question at the moment, if he's going to go quicker Nexus or not. Now, there's another Dragoon, so yeah, I guess we'll see another pylon here momentarily. Zealot sitting right outside that wall. Third Marine is going to be coming down. And, of course, with the bunker up, you're feeling pretty darn safe here. And the Vulture as well. So, Gypsy doing a very standard Vulture expansion. And actually, it's 2 Dragoons into the Nexus, then the pylon. So, there is going to be quite a long probe skip there, but that's okay. A lot of builds have things like that in the openers. Now, the SCV does find its way up, wiggles through that little ramp block, and it was... Oh, that's what was going on. Okay, he actually canceled range and now has restarted it. So, yeah, that's going to be actually very hard for Gypsy to tell. The quickest range finishes at 425. So, it's... You know, even though he saw when range started, he wouldn't know if this was just not done yet. So the SCV ends up dying. Vulture coming up. Not sure if he's going to find anything to do with this Vulture. Goes after that Zealot, just gets a single hit and pulls back for now. There was a possibility for him to try to dive up the ramp, but if a goon catches you as it's coming out, you're going to be pretty sad because you'll lose that Vulture and not be able to lay the mines, which he is in fact going for here. So the mine upgrade on the way. Big fan, actually, of the opener that Gypsy's using here right now. Just the getting a couple Vultures out with mines really, really quickly. Actually stops after 2 Vultures and goes into a siege tank, which is completely fine as well. And just going to go ahead and run by this single kind of containment slash pressure Dragoon there, which will check and see that, in fact, the command center is almost done. So now ZhanHun knows exactly what's going on. Robotics at home for him right now. That Nexus all done, and looks like he's up about 3 workers at the moment. So this is going to be an Armory eBay build out of Gypsy. So this is kind of the big macro build right now. This is going to give you the fastest 2-1 upgrades, just the fastest upgrades in general, while being the safest, right? You lay a few mines out, you go for really quick +1, and then you also get a few turrets up. And we'll see exactly how many turrets he wants to go for momentarily here. But very clean build from Gypsy. Throws a mine down here on that ramp. Ooh, catches that Dragoon. The Dragoon can keep the 2 vultures up there, but can't really go up itself, or it will die to that mine. Another mine gets laid. So some nice containment mines, honestly. Like, if you look at the positioning of these, you can't really get around the map very well. You can't really take another base as of yet, but it doesn't look like that's his plan anyways. It's 2-gate observer for ZhanHun, and that's going to allow him to just play a very safe, laid-back game right now. Now we have that +1 going. Second factory coming up here for Gypsy as well. As the observer comes over, the Dragoon's going to be able to push up here and knock down the vultures. You see a probe coming now as well. So Gypsy, I'm sure he's aware of exactly what's going on. That's going to be a pretty quick third. He actually picks the probe, so that was a perfect sacrifice of those. That was the absolute best thing he could do in this situation. So that will actually slow it pretty dramatically. Like, you know, that's going to buy you a good 15, 20 seconds on that Nexus. So pretty solid from Gypsy, who is throwing down some turrets, getting his siege mode as well. Siege mode will be finishing up here just momentarily. Second factory is done. Some good turret placement also. Yeah, that's pretty solid. And Academy coming up for that additional scouting. So everything completely safe and looking good for Gypsy right now. Ah, this is interesting. Okay, so with the second factory, he's actually getting speed. I like this. You don't normally see this, actually, but he's going ahead and investing in vulture speed, despite the fact he doesn't have any vultures right now, just starting to pop out. And this is going to give him a little bit of map presence. Maybe he'll be able to pick off some probes on the transfer to the third base. That's the most likely way to get damage. But, yeah, it's going to let him see the map a little bit more. So I really do like this play. Also notice he does have multiple tanks in the main base, just kind of sitting there. These tanks are waiting for possible shuttles coming in. This is a delayed Reaver build, which does seem to be gaining some popularity right now. Shuttle speed on the way, and of course you're going observers first, so it's like a very safe build overall. And I would be, well, I guess I wouldn't be too surprised. The Chinese have shown a lot of different styles. Oh, by the way, Gypsy did just scan this, but I was going to say, I think we should see Templar Archives coming up afterwards, right? Like a 4th base, Citadel, Templar Archives, and then speed Psystorm drops. That's the normal thing to do after a Reaver opening right now. And I think easily the strongest thing to do. Now, that doesn't mean you have to. You could go into something else, but if you're going to buy that speed upgrade, I think it's quite good. Now, the Dragoons actually have a nice containment up. So, despite the fact that Gypsy got that speed upgrade and has all these vultures, it doesn't look like he has a clear way out of the base right now. ZhanHun, yeah, he's sitting back. Very, well, you know, it's just kind of like a nice line of Dragoons so you can't run out. Third command center gets started. Triple factory, only 1 add-on though. Yeah, I am really digging Gypsy's build overall, but I would like to see him try to push a tank up like this far. Like maybe you throw down a turret here, and then you siege a tank just to push the Dragoons a little bit further back, because if they get a little bit further back, you can get your vultures out. And if you can get your vultures out, maybe you can get some damage as well. Now, a couple of Zealots were dropped out. The shuttle's certainly going home to get another Reaver. Here we go with the double Reaver now. Of course, speed is done. There's not that many turrets, and the Observer actually sees this very juicy area. These are the types of areas you love to run into with Reavers right now. And we don't really see good defense. Like, these singular turrets are great against the shuttle when it first comes out, but when you have speed, a singular turret doesn't do a lot if they do want to dive in. Now, a dropship coming up. Ooh, look at that defense, though. ZhanHun reading the situation very, very well. And, of course, he does have his own observer over in Gypsy's base. Almost gets the dropship. Not quite. The dropship going to get out of there. A couple vultures dropping out to see what they can get done as well. Laying a couple mines here in front of the natural. Cannons starting to go up in those mineral lines as well. Some good defense overall. I like the couple dragoons there as well. ZhanHun does walk through some of the mines. Vultures now going up into this third base, and they won't find very much damage. A couple probes only do end up going down. He does get a scout here onto this Nexus. I would actually love for him to just drop the tank here and leave it. If he leaves a tank up here, it's such a great tactical play, because you can just siege it up later when you know there's probes there. And there's no reason for ZhanHun to scout this area at all. This is like such... It's a very irregular play, but a great tactic, and Gypsy saw it as well, so that's awesome. He's going to be able to kill a decent amount of probes with that, I think. Now, more Dragoons coming down. Second speed shuttle as well. So now we have 2 speed shuttles here. A lot of Zealots being made. Lots of gateways out for ZhanHun. He's actually macroing kind of beast mode. 62 SCVs here for Gypsy, continuing to go on that as well. Very heavy on that SCV production. Psystorm finally started for ZhanHun. And now Gypsy's starting to think about coming out of here. Alright, sieging forward to try to push these Reavers back. Ooh, nice first volley there. Almost killing a Reaver, getting it very, very low. And you do have to leapfrog slowly but surely. Zealot legs, I believe, are done now. Yeah, and this is a lot of Zealots coming down. So this is actually pretty scary. We're at, like, look at this macro, actually. 78 probes, 185 supply at just about 12 minutes. So that's really good. Like, you consider a 12-minute max is what you should be able to do with Protoss if you're a real competitive player. So ZhanHun keeping pretty close to on track with that. Not exactly, and he is very probe heavy. But yeah, looks good. Now, Gypsy has to be so careful here. Here we go. The Zealot's going to start moving in here. Speed shuttle with Zealots flying in as well. He's holding on so far, so good. More Zealots being dropped out on top of everything. He's got to target these siege tanks. It's so critically important. The Reaver being picked up and brought forward here also drops on top of the siege tanks here on the high ground. Bam, blows up a couple of them. Another one does get picked off. Looks like Gypsy will end up holding. But I think overall that was pretty good. Don't forget that during this time, Gypsy sieged up this tank. So this was a big value to him during that. It's killed a bunch of probes. Look at that, 10 kills on this siege tank already. Fantastic tank left on that high ground. But I think ZhanHun still going to be happy with what just occurred there. He cleared out all of the Goliaths. He cleared out a lot of siege tanks. But Gypsy has been adding his factories the whole time. So he's still okay. If his macro wasn't quite as good, I would definitely say he's in a very bad position, but this is quite playable, I would say, right? Like ZhanHun, yeah, he's still got more supply. He's up at 152, but he's got like 10 more workers, so it's not that much more army supply. Gypsy has an okay amount of tanks. +2 is done from already. I'd love to see it. Yeah, there we go. Get into +3. He has his 4th command center ready, and yeah, that factory count is really kind of what we're looking at for the health right now. Looking over here, we have a good solid, what is this, 12, 11 gates. That 4th base is up, 5th base is up in another main. Very strong stuff that we're looking at right now. ZhanHun sitting back, though, in a more defensive position. A lot of High Templars starting to pop out also. Observer speed we see on the way, as well as Kadarian Amulet. So definitely going to be staying on this kind of like Robo-Templar tech for now, which is, again, really all the rage. Turret being placed as Gypsy gets ready for his 4th base location. Gypsy moving some tanks over. Now, this depot, I gotta say, I do not like, because the main thing about Goodnight, if we zoom way out and you take a look, there's this big ramp and there's this big ramp. So you need to be able to... Oh, hold on. I hear something. Some Psystorms going off. And actually, Gypsy didn't really lose that much. 66 SCVs is actually enough for an entire TVP. So Everything looks fine. The harassment not doing maybe as much as ZhanHun was hoping for. Another one into the main base. Oh, he did get some more with that. Okay, so, yeah, he's done a little bit of damage here. Gypsy is going to want to probably make a few more workers here, and in fact, might see a little bit more drop harassment coming out. Trying to get another storm off here. Oh, can't quite get it out of range there, unfortunately. The drop might end up going to that 4th base location. More and more turrets coming down. Okay, finally gets it. But, okay, let me go back to what I was talking about before, right? You have these 2 main ramps. So if Protoss takes 200 supply and shoves them up one, then you got to really kind of move your army over very quickly. That's why I was talking about this depot. You want this to be a pretty clear path so you can get back and forth. One thing to note here, this is insane. 93 probes. That's actually too many. Like, his economy obviously huge, but 93 probes is... Like, really, when you hit 70, you're like, okay, that's a lot. Okay, now here we go. ZhanHun attacking in, and Gypsy should be able to hold this without too much of a problem. The Zealots getting on top of some of his siege tanks here, but more units coming up to reinforce. Gonna start losing a couple more of those. Looks like a High Templar coming up for a nice storm. Oh, the storm is okay. Meantime, catching some of these probes on their way over, honestly doing ZhanHun a favor right there. Obviously, Gypsy doesn't know how many probes are out, but you really, again, don't want quite that many because your max supply is going to be much, much weaker. And he will end up picking off a fair amount there. ZhanHun really banking up right now. He does have double robo, so lots of shuttles, as we can see, being created. There's a Stargate out now as well, and I'm interested to see where he wants to go with that Stargate. Is it going to be an Arbiter Tribunal? It is. Okay. And that's kind of more normal anyways. It's a more natural extension of the tech that you're doing. Maybe if he gets like a couple more bases, he can go into Carrier, but probably not right this minute. Now, Gypsy has a pretty solid setup. Sends out another dropship. In fact, I think that's the same dropship, still at 17 health. So that dropship going out. I don't know. Maybe he's going to like try to fly in the side here or something. I'm not entirely sure what damage that will end up getting done. Gypsy setting up another siege location here in front of his natural. ZhanHun. What is the next stage of this plan? Just macroing up heavily, throwing down another Nexus. And is he going to try to go for a kill? Is he going to try to secure another main? I'm not sure yet. Another big drop goes into the 4th base location. Gypsy not really losing SCVs here. Very, very few loss, in fact. Some damage done to them for sure, though. Still storms remaining on these High Templars, so any units trying to come up the map to clean could get stormed. And another storm goes down. In the meantime, ooh, catches that dropship. Not sure if that still had the tanks in it. I think it probably did. These few vultures get cleaned up as well. And of course, this little drop harassment will be killed off. Honestly, I'd love to see a Wraith made out of Gypsy here. Like, some of these locations that we're seeing the shuttles just kind of hang out are very, very annoying. I definitely think it's worth a Wraith to not allow him to utilize those positions. It is a little bit micro-intensive, though, so just throwing that out there. Now we have a recall on the way. That might be the idea for shutting down some of these bases a little bit more, or possibly even a finishing move for ZhanHun. Gypsy pushing out into the middle of the map now. The speed shuttle's dropping all over his siege tanks. Nice defense matrix right there, eating up a lot of the damage output. Still, more tanks are falling, and yeah, as all the Zealots die, ZhanHun has to pull back. Gypsy continuing to push out. Now, I think Gypsy here, if he just pushes across here, that's going to be very powerful. If he actually tries to attack, I think it's not going to go well, honestly. ZhanHun, like, you know, he has a lot of workers, he has a lot of bank, and I think he's going to be able to field another army to be able to kill this off. I would much rather see Gypsy take a more entrenched position here. We'll see about that momentarily. Is he going to continue to push? Okay, he's kind of bringing his units back. I can't tell, actually, what he's going to do. He has a lot of SCVs over here. Seems like everything's kind of on fire for him right now. A lot of idle SCVs. Kind of a frantic game right now with the amount of drop harassment that has occurred. Wow, mass shuttles flying out. I don't even know why you get arbiters when your whole army is in shuttles like this. But it looks like they are going to fly in right over the siege tanks. There's no anti-air here. Not a turret, not a Goliath. So kind of painful. He's going to go ahead and unsiege. Yeah, since the army's not here, he absolutely can. I would love to see a few missile turrets going up as well. ZhanHun looking like he's going to go for another attack here. Going up towards the natural, but we don't have any units standing in the way. Nothing to slow him down right now. ZhanHun going forward. Oh, man, this is actually kind of painful. Gypsy needs to clean this up, like, very cleanly. And with this many shuttles that haven't let off all of their cargo yet, it's going to be really, really difficult with so little anti-air. ZhanHun continuing to push up towards the main. Looks like he's going to commit the shuttles up there as well. They are not unloading, though. I think a little glitch there. And he finally will start to get them out, but ZhanHun gets into the main base. Sidestorm goes down on some of these siege tanks, and ZhanHun, like, he's taking another Nexus. He's still got a big bank. Gypsy having a hard time completing his supply here. He's been sitting like 130 to 150 for a very long time indeed. And it is kind of looking like ZhanHun is taking a pretty substantial lead here. I mean, if Gypsy just had a little bit more supply, I'd be feeling a lot better about his position. And yeah, he cleaned that out. But ZhanHun, look at this, even throwing down a Nexus here as well. He's definitely got map control. Gypsy has mostly siege tanks here, but he needs some vultures. He needs either Goliaths or turrets as well to stop the mass shuttles that we just continue to see flying around. Gypsy, though, trying to take this command center in the bottom right. He does have this mining base. He has his third still. He has his fourth still. So his economy's still looking all right. The shuttles, though, coming in to this bottom right. Flying over towards the natural now. Just flying over absolutely everything. Few turrets here, but that's not going to stop him. Dropping everything off into this fourth base location. Gypsy being run around the map a little bit here. Oh, and the Arbiter. Oh, God. This is actually a great killing move. Okay, and he's going to GG. ZhanHun takes game number 1.